Gets it to LeBron for three for the win. Yes! LeBron James at the buzzer!
Gordon cuts through. They go to Barrett. He'll turn and shoot for the win. Oh!
Bingo!
All right. Here we are. Welcome to NBA Max. Joined by I'm Chris Driscoll, joined by ORB. How we doing, man?
I'm doing excellent, my guy. I'm really excited to be here. I'm excited for the conversation we're gonna have. This is good stuff.
For sure, yeah. So yeah, as you could tell in the title, so the greatest what ifs in NBA history. It's funny. I definitely have. I would say it's more love with my relationship with what ifs. Significantly more love than hate. But like that being said, I would consider it a love hate relationship because the word if sometimes can drive me crazy. I don't know if you feel the same way.
I do. It's such a broad term, and there's so many things that like fall under that umbrella that I think I'm right with you, that drive me nuts or actually make me feel good. So yeah, it's definitely a love-hate relationship for me as well.
Yeah, it's just because the deeper I dig into it, the more like I change my mind. Just because, so like yeah, so like I don't know how much like how deep you are into football, into like football Twitter or TikTok, but the word if is always floated around whenever people talk about the word Justin Herbert, the player Justin Herbert. So Justin Herbert, which like this is a basketball show, but like I still imagine like there's like a lot of crossroads for like if you like both of them. So Justin Herbert is one of the most talented football players in the league. He is the arm talent, he's the legs, and like he's carried some pretty bad offenses into being like top 5 offense in the league. So it's very cool. However, people always say like, oh, it's always if with Justin Herbert, like if this, if that, but he hasn't won a playoff game yet. So while I agree with the premise in the sense of that, it just gets a little tough when using the word if, which is very funny when I mentioned the name Justin Herbert. I know that, yeah, the guy who's about to hop on Sports Flow, and he's a very opinionated take on this as well. We're discussing the word if fluent, so I don't know. Yeah, like I know you're entering a very, like, I don't know how interested you are in the conversation. That's just.
I heard nothing. I was doing so the previous. I don't know if you guys know. Right before we go on, well, a couple hours before we go on is our From the Sidelines NFL show, and we were doing our draft.
Oh, nice.
And it went, and I said I would not hop on the show, but
what was the draft?
Like for NFL fantasy draft. No, like an actual draft that we're gonna play throughout the season and whatever. And I've done absolutely zero research. I think my team's actually still good. Mrs. Fluent said I have a bunch of has-beens, so maybe I went by name recognition a little bit more than I should have. But our draft isn't for another week, so I haven't put in the proper work yet.
Yeah, this year's my league. It's our 15th year doing our league together. So for the past 5 years we've been going to Atlantic City every year to do the draft. So we're
cool.
Very excited. We're excited that that's on Saturday. So we're very excited.
Oh, had I known, I would have invited you. We needed a few more people. I
can't imagine. Out of the 15 years, I've won the regular season, but I've never actually won the playoffs. So so I can't imagine that'd be.
So then you've never won. Winning the regular season means nothing. I
agree. I 100% agree. Yes.
I always come in first. In like regular season standings, I always have like the most points scored. 4. But I've won other leagues. I've never won like my family, the same 12 of us that have been in it every year. I think it's year 12 or 13 or something like that. Nice. I've lost in the finals to my wife. Like, no, there's no worse possible thing that I could have. So yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, the reason
I've won other ones. Like I've won ones with like pros and like, wow. Like you guys know, like I did like the Adam Rank and those guys. Like I've been in leagues and I've never won that league. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me, but anyways.
Yeah. So the reason that football was brought up was because of the word if. So what if? And I talked, and I don't know. Yeah, like I'm sure I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but the word if drives me crazy sometimes because in both the good and in a bad way, because sometimes it provides nuance. Because like if this happened, things would be so much different. And you could ask perspective. But that being said, if you use the word over and over and over again, it becomes an excuse. So
I always fight. Yeah. I always fight with Jermaine Chilltown, because he says, well, this player or this team is gonna do this, and the caveat in most of these cases, if they stay healthy.
Yes.
And then I remind him, yeah, but that team has 4 guys on it who never played more than 60 games a season. So it's not if they stay healthy, it's because they won't. So based on that, what do you think they're going to be? For example, hey Jalen, how's it going, man? You good?
Tired. long weekend. Everyone's having a first birthday. Someone's having a birthday.
First birthday? How? Okay.
When all your friends just have kids, everyone's having a first.
No,
birthday.
I don't. My friends are all having grandkids.
So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
And so Philadelphia, the 76ers last year is a great example. He says, with Embiid and Paul George and Maxey, he was really high on Maxey. This is what I think this team is going to do. And I was like, they're not making the play-in. And he said, you're nuts. And I said, I'm not. And he goes, if Embiid is healthy and if George, and I said, exactly. Those ifs are so big, and I know they're not going to happen. I know they're going to be injured. I know they're not going to play well together. I know there's going to be chemistry issues. I know that Nick Nurse and the way that he coaches is right? And guess what happened? They missed the play-in. And he's like, yeah, you were right. And I said, yeah, because I'm not going to play until you show me, right? Until, I said this for the first 3 years of Zion. Until you show me you can play, I'm just going to bet that until you change who you are, I'm going to believe who you're showing me that you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Sixers are just the Sixers are just an extreme example of that, because he's like, I actually believe that Paul George is going to be better this season. Given that last year could not have gone worse. So I feel like he'll be a little better. I'm not saying he'll be all-star worthy again, but I think he'll still be maybe a top 35, 40 player like he was. He was outside the top 100 this year, probably based on his quality of play. But Embiid's another thing. It's not a matter of whether or not he's going to play. It's not a matter of whether or not he's going to get hurt. We already know he's entering training camp shaken up. Someone posted a video the other day. I forgot it was Nick Nurse said a couple things. He's like, oh, he looks good. It looks good. He said the same phrase over and over again. So, with Embiid, it's not a matter of him not getting hurt. It's a matter of how many games will he actually play. And I don't know what I don't know if there's a line to bet on the over or the under, but I can't imagine it's over 35.
There's always a line to bet on.
And that's very the Little League professional baseball, they tweeted out a statement saying please don't bet on our games. If you're betting on Little League games, you're
shout out Michael Porter Jr., man, saying the truth. He said what everyone was thinking.
What did he say? I didn't hear. What did he say?
I mean, basically just saying how, look, his brother, having a gambling problem. One of those situations where look, if you have a group of friends where you really came from nothing, if one game they decide to shoot a bunch of bricks and your friend could make $100,000. Knowing to bet the under, you can understand what someone doing. I mean, I get it. What he said was factually right. It makes 100% sense. You know what I mean? It's just he said the loud part. He said the part out loud that a lot of people just didn't want to say, type of thing.
Hold on, I just saw the best comment we've ever had on any show that I've ever been on. As a barber, I love this show. It's at every stage of beard growth.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Yes,
you win.
Oh my God,
you win the night, Polar.
That's wonderful.
No doubt.
He's right. Yeah, you look around. You look across the horn.
It's true. You got the just.
I literally almost shaved right before this too. I'm so happy that I didn't.
No, you didn't. No, this glad you did. Yeah, good you didn't.
Yeah.
So the premise of this show, and I really wanted to make this show just so you guys know. Ori, everybody give Ori, if this goes well, give Ori all the credit. If it goes bad, give him all the blame. Because I really wanted this show to be a longer version of a 4-minute TikTok that I put out, completely debunking Jalen's buddy Lamont, who has turned into a huge narrative agenda guy. With no factual evidence, and I debunked his nonsensical theory. That being said, You said no. I did not talk to you. Siri always wants to jump in and no. And so, or he's like, no, let's do this what if show. I'm like, okay, cool. So here's what I want to do. So obviously, it's the biggest what ifs in NBA history. So we can either do it one of two ways. We can all just like randomly throw out a bunch of stuff and go, or we can go like everybody does one. I personally know I have three. I know which my three are. So we could go in chronological order, like if you have like by years or dates. Do you guys have a preference?
Honestly, I could shotgun quite a few. So if you want to do like your top three to maybe get us rolling, I could kind of maybe fill in the gaps, and maybe we all kind of fill in the gaps. But
okay,
it's up to you guys.
Because I have them in order. I have one from like, well, I guess two are the 80s and one is the 90s.
Oh, okay.
Does anybody have anything before the 80s?
I do not personally. No.
Mine are all basically 2000 stuff.
Mine are pretty modern. I was going to say.
Yeah, yours are modern. Good. I figured I'd be the old guy that gave history, and Jalen came unprepared, which we already know.
So we're going to come with the facts and spit everything right, like always. I'm that guy who doesn't need to study for a test, still get a 95.
Fair enough. So here's my first one, and it is my favorite one of all the what ifs. And like I've got 100, but I have a top three of all the what ifs. This is by far my favorite one because I've fact checked it. I've spoken to people, and it was this close. I can't even make my fingers close enough to show you. It was this close to happening, and at the absolute last second, it was pulled off the table. And so you have to think back to the 1984 NBA draft. The Houston Rockets had the number 1 pick. The Portland Trailblazers had the number 2 pick. The Portland Trailblazers already had what they thought was, enough guards. And they were looking for a big. And they kind of made it clear that, that's what they needed. But although they figured they can get one in the draft, they wanted I want to say established, but they wanted someone who was already in the league. They reached out, they picked up the phone, they called the Houston Rockets. And they said, listen, we know you have your eyes locked. You're in Houston. You have a player playing at the University of Houston who is a 7'2" center. You don't need 2 centers. You already have 7'4" Ralph Sampson, who is a legit all-star, all-NBA caliber center. What if we gave you one of our guards, because we know you need a guard, we'll give you Clyde Drexler and the number 2 pick for Ralph Sampson. And the offer was made, and Houston was apparently ready to make that trade with eyes already set on what they were going to do. Draft Olajuwon 1, draft Jordan 2, and have a big 3 of Olajuwon, Jordan, and Drexler, and try to convert one of those 2. And we would find out later that it most likely would have been Jordan, one of them to play the point, the other to play the 2, which would have been Drexler, with Olajuwon at the 5. And that was going to be their team that they built around. At the last minute, Houston said, you know what? We're going to go with the twin tower approach of Sampson and Olajuwon, because we don't know what this Olajuwon kid is going to be. We know what we got in Sampson, which is actually funny now that you look back and think about it. And Drexler even said, yeah, great. Thank you, Woodage. He even said he thought his best position, Drexler thought his best position was small forward anyways. So they could have even had them at the 2-3. Who knows what they could have done? That being said, so they pulled it off the table. And then we know what happened. Obviously, Houston keeps Olajuwon. Him and Sampson go to an NBA final, lose. And then Olajuwon doesn't go to an NBA final for like a million years later. Wins a couple, though, so good for him. And obviously, Portland chooses, the next available big, which is Sam Bowie, because they were drafting for position. Michael Jordan goes to Chicago, and the rest is history. So my favorite what if is the Houston Rockets, starting with a second-year Clyde Drexler and rookie Olajuwon and Jordan to build their franchise around.
That would have been, that's interesting, because I don't think Michael Jordan ever wins a scoring title. I think they win a bunch of championships. Hakeem, again, I think all those guys play well, but they might not have reached the heights individually that they reached.
I see. That's where I it's interesting.
Yeah.
Because Jordan's still going to put up 20, 25, right?
Yeah,
Regardless.
100%. He's going to get his 25. Yeah, for sure.
You've then got the defense of him and Olajuwon. So they're probably one of the best defensive teams in the league. But what we know is when Jordan played the point that last season when the ball was in his hands all the time under Doug Collins before Phil Jackson, he put up, 30 something, but 8 rebounds, 8 assists. Yeah. So with Olajuwon and Drexler, he's probably getting 8, 9, 10 assists every game. So maybe he doesn't score 30 a game. You're right, but he's probably if he's a 25, 8 and 8 guy with 7 championships.
Maybe we know him as like an all-time playmaker instead of an all-time scorer.
Yeah. And I think they might have split like the Finals MVPs though, which would have been interesting.
That I think you're right.
Yeah.
Now I really believe though Drexler would. I feel like he would take that secondary role. He would be the one that would lose the most.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes. But he was still good defensively. He would still score. He would be an all-around guy too. That would be he'd be James Worthy. So it would take away, I think, from his legacy, I guess, the most. Olajuwon and Jordan would be the interesting one. Like, do we look at them as, wow, like the greatest duo ever that won 8 chips or whatever the heck they would have won? Or
Jordan intrigues me. Jordan intrigues me the most because, obviously when he was drafted, he was put on a Chicago team that had nobody else, Orlando Woolridge, but, they were in a position where they were dependent on him to score. If he was drafted by Houston in that position, Jalen says he wouldn't win the scoring titles, but I wonder if he ever actually develops into like the dog that he turns into because, yes, he had that shot at Georgetown that kind of elevated him a little bit at the end. But we know that his time as the number one option with, the Bulls changed his perspective from what he had with Dean Smith. Dean Smith had him in a rotation. Dean Smith had him using, what he was good at to win. Chicago depended on him for everything. They kind of
you don't think he still you don't think he still goes out and scores, or you don't what?
I'm not. It's the scoring that I think takes a dip, but I wonder in general, like if he tries harder to fit into a role as opposed to be a star because of what Dean Smith instilled in him. I'm not sure if he comes out of his, shell all the way and becomes what he was.
You probably didn't watch the '84 Olympics then.
No. I did actually, and Bob Knight called him the greatest player of all time.
But also, he's on a team with Patrick Ewing and all these other dogs, and he's the clear-cut, I'm the best. So I think whichever team he came into in the NBA, that Olympic thing, that's where the switch turned, I think.
And that could definitely be true. Yeah. And I would definitely hope that was the case. But I just wonder, like, with the perspective shifting and the paradigm shifting, what version of Michael Jordan comes out of that if we still get a GOAT Jordan,
Yeah. Sorry, Chris, you said you were jumping a little bit to say something, I thought.
Oh, not really. It's I think to an extent, obviously we've acknowledged that like his like scoring would take a dip. I'm curious to know, like, would he emphasize more playmaking or would he emphasize more defense? Because obviously Olajuwon has no problem anchoring 4 average defenders around him. Sure. So the question also becomes, is Hakeem Olajuwon known as this all-time great defender? Yes, probably he still is known as like one of the 3 best defenders of all time, probably the best of the modern era. So my bigger question is, does Jordan emphasize defense more, or does he emphasize playmaking?
Now, there's another. Now, this all depends on coaching, because the flip side of that is, does Olajuwon say, hey, because we also know he's a great team guy, does he focus on the defense and playmaking out of the post? Mm-hmm. Because now you're getting Jordan, who we know can cut, right? Cutting and driving to the hoop, getting passes from Olajuwon, who's an incredible passer. And now is he getting more open looks? Is he getting more open, dunks and layups because they have to put their attention on Olajuwon, who doesn't solely have to play in the post. Like, he could play 16 feet out very easily. And now it's like, does the offense run through Olajuwon, right? Jordan or Drexler brings it up, drops it into the post, they slash, and Olajuwon then can either do what he does or dump it off to them. And now they're getting a bunch of open looks that neither one of them really got, because if you think about it, Jordan had, Bill Cartwright and Wennington and Luke Long. Like, if you think about it, he never really had a center who could do anything other than be a big body. Drexler had Duckworth and Jerome Kersey. Like, he didn't really have Buck Williams. He never really had that type of playmaker at center either. So now is it kind of this almost triangle of where it goes into the Olajuwon, who could come up to the high post and now facilitate for those guys. So it's interesting what they might end up doing. It's
and on top of that, you figure the dynamic changes enough that I wonder who becomes the GOAT. Like, is Hakeem Olajuwon at that point because he's the number one option in that situation with the two of them?
But I tell you, that brings in my second what if, because this person becomes the GOAT now.
Yeah, right.
My second. Do you want me to jump in because they kind of tie it together?
Let's hit it. I want to know who's.
You two are going to love this one.
His favorite player. I thought becomes the GOAT.
No, Magic should be the GOAT. That's actually true. Yeah. He should be. If Jordan doesn't pay someone to inject him with HIV, that's a conspiracy though. This isn't a conspiracy show. We'll talk about that on a different episode.
Where did that come from? Whoa. Okay.
In 1991, when Magic. Okay, just quick sidebar. When Magic has the press conference and said he's contracted HIV and he's HIV positive, you have to understand, because people see, you guys see this one persona where all these people are saying crazy, stupid stuff about Jordan. And I tell you this, I get 1,000 misinformation pieces about Jordan and like one about Kobe or LeBron or anything that's incorrect. And so I spend a lot of time correcting people on what they say about Jordan. We're done with the 90s. He can't go left. Like, there's such this huge movement to try and discredit Jordan that I spend a lot of time defending him, that people think like he's my favorite player. And like growing up, he was my idol. No, I hated Jordan. I'm a Lakers fan. I've been a Lakers fan since 79. I no interest. I hated Michael Jordan. So you have to remember, Magic has back-to-back MVPs, and then how does he lose the third one? Oh, he loses. He comes in second to Jordan. Then what happens? The Bulls beat the Lakers in the NBA final. I hate Jordan at this point. And then that summer, after he steals his MVP, steals his NBA final, steals his finals MVP, all that should have been Magic's. Magic, my favorite player, by the way, if you haven't figured it out by now. He then contracts HIV, and I go, Jordan probably paid somebody to, like, in the hospital to like give him like when they were taking his blood or whatever to shoot him up with it, like that. And that's been like this. I know it's not true.
Magic was definitely in the clubs or something. After all those losses, he was having way too much of a good time outside the court. He had to make himself feel better after losing the MVP, losing.
I know what really happened, but as a
unless
younger,
you're AC Green, of course. If you're AC Green, you're cool.
As a younger man, not young, but as a younger man, I wanted to blame someone, so I blamed Jordan for, that's the conspiracy. But back to the what ifs conspiracy, we can do another day. So this person becomes the GOAT, and the reason why I think he becomes the GOAT again, because of this what if that I will explain in a second, is because at the time he was going to join a team that was rich in history of winning, known for their culture. They had an aging, quote unquote, because of injuries more than aging star who would have taken him under his wing and developed him. He is basically a player who, coming out of college, basically was the size and strength of LeBron, the athleticism of Jordan, but had a jump shot. So what if Len Bias, after being drafted by the Celtics, plays for the Celtics? Again, that's why I tie these two together, because it's so interesting, whether Jordan's on the Bulls or not. But if those three guys are over there, Len Bias runs the East and the Celtics run the East. And Bird had already come out and said, I will play second fiddle to him. He is so great. Yep. So imagine LeBron coming into the NBA with a jump shot. Say what you want about him. He did not. Magic Johnson could not shoot when he came into the NBA. Len Bias could shoot. And he had all the athleticism, all the tools to be the greatest offensive and a great, defensive player because of his athleticism. And he would have been in a Celtic system, so they would have put players around him. Len Bias would have been that guy going to multiple NBA championships throughout the late 80s and 90s with the Celtics. And it would have been his team. And, we know that the Celtics kind of build a unit around their guy, he would have been that guy.
Imagine Larry Bird turned into a spot-up shooter because Len Bias is taking over the offense. Like,
yeah,
I feel robbed because this is one of the ones I was going to bring up later because I'm a huge Len Bias guy. I truly, I mean, obviously as a Celtics fan, I know this history and stuff, but like I've been on that case for a long time because just the way that he was viewed compared to Jordan, you know, the man body that he had. Like, I mean, you look
he was
at
six. He was a 6'8", probably I think he was 220, 230, which that's university weight. You know, once you come into the NBA, he'd put on 10, 15, 20 pounds of muscle. Like he would have been legit like LeBron, 6'8", 6'9", 250. And again, imagine LeBron who could shoot because he had all the athleticism, all the other tools. So imagine LeBron coming in to the league in the late 80s with a jump shot.
Exactly. And then imagine how much that extends Larry Bird's career in the sense that like the dependence on him is not there. You know,
Sure.
we know that, you know, he obviously messed up his back with a driveway accident, so be it. But there's a world where because the dependence on him, he becomes kind of a Ray Allen type figure in that second stage of his career.
Sure.
And Len Bias maximizes that. I mean, there's so
think
many
about
things.
him. Think about Bird in the 92 Olympics, right? He's like,
Exactly.
I'm too hurt to play. And Magic says, listen, can you still shoot? And he goes, of course I can still shoot. He goes, then you know what? Just go stand over there. I'll kick it out to you. All you got to do is knock down some open jump shots. And he's like, okay, cool. Then I'll come. And that's the only reason he played in the Olympics is because Magic said, I'll do this for you. That's what Bias would have done for him on the team, which, you know, again, he could still do in the late 80s more than by 92, but he could still do more stuff. But imagine, again, you've got Len Bias kicking out to Bird. Well, what are they going to do eventually? Well, they got to run out on Bird. So what's he going to do? Well, he's such a great passer. He's just kicking it back into Bias, who's then in a one-on-one, and he's going to dominate them.
Exactly. That's a really good one.
I blame Ronald Reagan. He doesn't get enough slack for what he did with the cocaine.
It wasn't a good enough war on drugs,
right? Hey, man. Hey, anybody chat? We don't want any folk. I go look up Ronald Reagan. Cocaine 80s, man.
How dare you, man? I'm a millennial, so I'm part of the DARE propaganda. So,
all right. So my last one, it's mine. So mine all kind of tie in, right? So my last one, my what if is it's a little poking fun, right? At LeBron fans, I'll admit. So what if the entire Chicago Bulls team, with the exception of Michael Jordan, the entire Chicago Bulls team doesn't choke away Game 7 against the Pistons? For those that don't know, everyone not named Jordan on the Bulls in Game 7 against the Pistons shoot like a combined 5 of 37. They shot like 20% or something in Game 7, and it was ridiculously. And the Bulls lose. However, had they had Pippen not had a headache, had somebody else not been on whatever,
migraine, not just a headache.
Whatever. What did I say?
Headache, migraine. Yeah.
Headache.
What's a migraine except a headache for?
You can barely stand up when you have a migraine.
It's a little more serious, I guess. It's a serious headache.
I get migraines, and then he shouldn't have played.
I agree.
And gone 1 of 10. Okay, let someone else step in. So
it was also 1990.
So what if he had a couple of Excedrin, but it's not just him because the rest of the team stunk too.
Yes.
So 100%. What if they knocked down some shots and they beat the Pistons in that Game 7? Well, they go on to the NBA final to play the Portland Trailblazers, who, well, we know the next year or 2 years later they're in the NBA finals again. The Trailblazers and lose to them. So the Bulls, again, this is a what if. So they all play well. They win Game 7. They go to the NBA final. First of all, the Pistons only win 1, so no back-to-back bad boys. So that whole thing becomes no one cares. So now that's 4 in a row. So because they've won 4 in a row, Jordan makes enough money and he can pay off the gambling bet, so no one murders his father. So since no one murders his father, he doesn't retire. So then they beat Houston in back-to-back series. They then still sign Rodman and win the 3. Because of the expansion, Raptors and Grizzlies, as everyone would say. So that's 9 in a row. And then, of course, because they have 9 in a row, they're not going to say, well, we're not going to blow it up. We're going to keep everybody together. The next season is a shortened season because of the strike. And what better team to win an NBA championship than an old team of champions during a shortened season? That's the best time to win it. Bam, 10 in a row.
I'm seeing like 6-4, 7-3.
All because of Pippen's headache. They win 6 out of 8 instead of 10.
Reach. I have the same chance of going on a double date with Halle Berry and Jennifer Aniston. Is that happening?
Well, that date could happen. You just wouldn't be there.
And again, like I know this is only for shits and giggles. So like so like I'm well aware of this, but however, I do think that one of the I don't even know like who like I don't know if this is Jordan propaganda or if it's something else. They're like oh, he would have won 8 in a row if he didn't retire. Like I feel like that is more Jordan propaganda than anything. There was no world where the Bulls were winning the Magic in '95. I just they didn't like Jordan.
That's a bold-faced lie.
No,
Whoa.
I don't think so. No,
and I'll tell you why.
Hang on. I can give my case first. Yeah. No, it's not my case. It's the common case. But like, just like the reason that the Bulls lost the series wasn't because of Jordan. It was because they didn't have anyone to stop Shaq.
No, that's incorrect.
How was that incorrect?
I mean, Shaq was dominating. Shaq was the best
dominant, but Jordan was rusty AF, bro.
He was still playing well.
So
hold on.
The
deciding factor.
Okay.
The deciding factor in that series. The deciding factor in that series was, now some will say Jordan being rusty. There's some truth to that, but the biggest thing, the reason the Magic won that series was Horace Grant. So in this scenario, Horace Grant's still on the Bulls, and without Horace Grant, they still have rebounding, because if you look at that series, it's the lack of rebounding, and that's why the second they get Dennis Rodman, they're unstoppable.
Sure.
Because that's all that team needed. They had their scoring, they had their defense, they had their playmaking. All they needed was rebounding. And that's why I laugh and I say,
so what are the
whether it's Dennis Rodman, Horace Grant, if they had a guy who could get 10 rebounds a game, that team is set.
So let me push back against that. Would Horace Grant have continued to be like the awesome player he is? Like this is like it's only like if there's one thing that champions show, it's like throughout history, it's fatigue and again like I'm not saying that like Jordan repeating twice is like entirely invalid because he took those 2 years off. But I do think that they would have had to find a replacement that wasn't Horace Grant or Dennis Rodman in order for that. Which I'm not saying.
Why couldn't it have been Dennis Rodman? So let's say they win their 4th, and Horace Grant, same thing, says, "Okay, I want to leave." Well, the reason they don't kind of revamp that roster is because Jordan's not there, and they're not thinking honestly that. Let me go back a step.
Not at the time, yeah.
When he retires the first time. Right before he retires, they're thinking we're going for 4, right? Which is why they signed Steve Kerr. They convinced Tony Kukoc to come and be a 6th man, right? Who was a 2-time European MVP, EuroLeague MVP, excuse me. And they want to shore up the bench because they still have at that point Armstrong, Jordan, Pippen, Grant, and Cartwright. And then halfway through that season, they signed Longley, but that's irrelevant for this particular case. So they thought they were going to win. So they had brought in those pieces. After a year of Jordan not being there for that 94-95 season, without Jordan, you saw them. Grant left, things started to like dwindle a little bit. And if you remember the first half of that season, they're not playing well. Had they been 4-time champs at that point, and Grant says, "Hey, I want to go," and let's say he still goes to Orlando. Well, now they're thinking, "Hey, we've got a championship caliber team. We need to replace him." So they don't let that year happen where they don't. And at that time, I believe that's when Rodman goes to the Spurs. So maybe instead of the Spurs, where he went for nothing, he comes to the Bulls, or it's somebody else. It doesn't necessarily have to be
right. Yeah. All right. Fair enough.
To be him. Yeah. And again, it's a huge what if that. Oh my God, could you imagine if they won that series and it kind of snowballed into
literally
this?
everything
well
would have.
Yes. I think it's more they lose at least one of the
beauty of this series is the butterfly effect that like such a small what if can have. So I'm really glad that we're talking about this because, like, genuinely, you think about just like that one, that Scottie Pippen migraine, and this is where we could end up. So, like, it's fascinating.
That's why I like these what ifs because, like, I'm sure we'll get to this one. What if Chris Bosh doesn't get that rebound and kick it out to Ray Allen for that 3? Tim Duncan, forget LeBron legacy for a second. Tim Duncan is now 6-0.
Yeah. And LeBron, his last shot of that game was a missed 3-pointer. He's known as not clutch because he missed the 3 that screwed it all up.
Yeah.
What if LeBron was drafted to a competent organization? He would have won 10 straight with the Spurs. You know, I mean, we could do this all day.
The Chicago Bulls, the Chicago Bulls are a notoriously well-run organization before Jordan got there. Yeah, totally.
I'm just saying, LeBron's first 7 years.
The Bulls were a worse rostered organization those first 7 years than the Cavaliers.
Yeah.
Cleveland was the worst city in sports history.
The Chicago indoor soccer team had more people going to their games than the Bulls did because they were so bad. And in Jordan's in the first 5 years, he had 0 all-star teammates. LeBron had one who went twice.
Well, I mean, we also understand that why they were all-stars. You can make a case that LeBron, playing with LeBron, enhanced their ability to make it.
Because Ilgauskas went to the all-star game before LeBron and after.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, Ilgauskas, great player.
And you want to talk about incompetent? Do you know who Keith Lee is?
Couldn't tell you.
He's the guy that the Bulls drafted instead of Karl Malone.
I mean, hey, that
in
happens.
1987, which would have paired Jordan with Pippen and Karl Malone.
How far apart were those draft picks?
I was going to say
11 and 13.
I mean, yeah, but when it comes to like those picks, we often see a lot of gems get.
Oh no one thought Keith Lee was a better player than Karl Malone.
I mean, Karl Malone would have been much higher. Like if people knew he was.
Yeah, if you knew. I mean, yeah, if anyone knew, we can always go in heights.
No, he got knocked down a little in the draft order because of
his extracurricular activities.
Yeah.
Oh, that was why. Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. But Keith Lee, dude, who?
Yeah. That's the food. That's the food reviewer now. Keith Lee's a food reviewer.
Is that what he does now? Is that him?
He's huge. Yeah, he's like the biggest food reviewer on TikTok. He's huge.
No, but he's not that Keith Lee, is he?
Oh, no, I mean,
I was gonna say. I don't think so.
Keith Lee these days that people know is that.
Oh, okay.
I wish.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's so many. Like you brought up LeBron getting drafted. What if they didn't fix the draft for the Cavaliers,
right?
And he went to Denver
or Detroit. Come on.
Well, that same draft. What if Carmelo Anthony goes to number 2? That's a popular one.
That's what we always talk about. Right? Carmelo goes to Detroit. I still don't. I think LeBron going to Detroit is just a big what if too.
I fight with Chilltown all the time about Carmelo going to Detroit, and he's like, no. He says, Coach Larry Brown doesn't play young players and he would have killed them. And I said, no, just think of that Detroit team. Okay. Having a guy who can score like Carmelo. And you're right. He wouldn't start him coming off the bench.
Yeah.
And those guys, and again, if they still make the trade for Rasheed Wallace, the Wallaces and Tayshaun Prince and Chauncey Billups mentoring him into playing some defense too with his offensive game, he'll eventually become a starter or they'd fire Larry Brown. That Detroit team becomes a dynasty.
I don't think LeBron and D-Wade make the finals.
And what becomes of two-way ability Carmelo Anthony? Like all of a sudden,
even a little bit of defense out of Carmelo.
Exactly. Like instead of a turnstile, what list does he all of a sudden become actually available for? You know.
I mean, we're talking. If you think about it, Carmelo comes in the league, winning a national championship, first season in the league, wins the NBA championship. Second year, they make the finals again. He probably wins another championship.
They probably win, yeah.
I think they again, and the year after that, that's when LeBron's not beating that team with Carmelo and the Pistons, right? No. You know, he makes the finals there against the Spurs team that they beat the year before. He might have won a national championship, go on to win 3 to 4.
He might have had a three-peat after a national championship, and LeBron would be in Denver doing nothing.
Yeah, and again, year after that,
because in the West, there's no 8 in a row to the finals.
Yeah, and the year after that is when Wade and Shaq won it. I think Carmelo and the Pistons beat that team.
100%.
So they go to the finals and win it.
Never mind. Yeah.
Yeah, they go. So I mean, Carmelo would have had the greatest start in the history of sports. We talk about Patrick Mahomes.
Or to your point, Jalen, or does Shaq ever even go to Miami And it's like Kobe and him find a way to make up because they're like, yo, we got this team in Detroit. We got to stick together and beat them. And it's Detroit and LA going back and forth every year.
Well, dynasties. It could have been like the Golden State Cleveland scenario. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the what if. I would jump in the what if.
I like that one.
The Golden State Warriors dynasty were a couple injuries away from never happening. And that's a what if that I don't think gets talked about enough. Where in 2015
and
right?
a couple go.
Yeah, in 2015, right? If Kyrie and Kevin Love were healthy, right? LeBron's there, those guys. I think they beat them against a young Golden State team. Those guys are healthy. Let's say they win, right? The next year, they come back. We all know what happened. 2016, great series. They lose. So now we have at the time again a 3-point jump shooting team going to the finals back to back and losing. And after that, especially after what Draymond did in that series, I have a feeling that somebody's getting traded after back-to-back loss in the finals.
If they lost back-to-back,
yeah, jump shooting. It would have been big. I think Draymond
and it would have killed the 3-point.
It would have been Draymond. Exactly,
absolutely. Draymond and Clay gets traded,
and it would have killed the 3-point revolution because 100%. They tried to do the 3-point revolution. If you think about it, Mike D'Antoni with Phoenix, right? Boris, I think it was not Boris Diaw. Quentin Richardson was shooting 8.8 threes per game. They don't make it deep into the playoffs. Everyone stops doing that, and then once Curry gets to that level and they win, they're like, oh, you can win like this.
100%. Kevin Durant doesn't go to the Warriors probably because they just came off of back-to-back losses. So I mean, it changes a lot.
Well, that would have justified KD going to the Warriors more. Is that
because they lost 2 in a row? Yeah,
right. They lost 2 in a row, but also I don't know actually because I don't know how much Draymond FaceTiming KD in the garage after the parking lot, which Draymond has changed that story 3 times by now or something like that regarding KD.
Can I read to you? Can I read to you what Tony Durant said happened?
Sure.
Wait away.
While I pull it up, Jalen said something interesting. He said they're a couple of injuries away from dynasty not happening, but actually they're an injury from an injury that did happen, which created the dynasty.
Yep.
So if Steph Curry's ankles aren't injured and he doesn't play, not great the first few years of his career as Mark Jackson is trying to make him a traditional point guard, his ankles are wobbly and no one ever really knows if they'll be okay. He signs that extension for way less money. And that gives them the money to create this Clay, Andre, and eventually KD. If that doesn't happen, if he starts off great, they got to pay him. None of that other stuff happens. None of that other. It's almost like you want your superstars to start slow so you don't have to give them the big money too fast. I find it here. But basically, while I'm looking for it, Tony Durant was messaging and said that what actually happened, and he says he's got the proof, but we were fighting, so he wasn't really in the mood to actually prove it. But he says that those guys called him and begged him. So I'm looking at the exchange right now. So give me 1 second. He said, "The world." Here we go. With all due respect, you weren't there. You don't know. He's talking to me. You think about it. All you blah blah blah. Hold on. I'm trying to get to the part. None of you know what actually happened that great day. Kevin was begged to come and to join the Warriors, and even more so when they begged him to stay. All 3 of them called him. So who's all 3 of them? Clay, Steph, and Dre?
Steve Kerr in that mix too.
Is it Steve Kerr, Steph, and Biggie, Tupac, and Big L? Right? Like who we know Dre's one of them. We know Draymond's one of them. Who are the other 2? They all apparently begged him.
Curry's definitely one of them.
You think Curry's one? Yeah.
Yeah,
so it's interesting.
Yeah, he's always known for recruiting players.
As he should. I think every player should recruit.
Absolutely, 100%.
It's legal.
Maybe Sean Livingston is the other one.
Every player should recruit, but I don't know if they should beg.
Yeah, well, the begging might be an exaggeration from Big Bro.
Maybe,
you know what I mean?
Maybe, but yeah, no. I it's one of those situations
because begging
like
to one,
him,
asking for another, right?
Yeah. True enough.
And you're right, they didn't need him. They went 73-9. They had their big man, two guys. There was an injury, a suspension, and let's be honest, Steph choked. Go look at the last 3 games. He choked, and they had epic performances. Just think about this: Game 5, Warriors are up. Is it Game 5 or Game 6? No, yeah, Game 5, Warriors are up 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, LeBron. I'm not dismissing LeBron going for his 41. LeBron goes for 41, amazing. But it was a close game. It also required Kyrie to go for 41.
Mm-hmm.
When have you seen 2 guys go for 41? So if he just goes for 30, that series is over.
Yeah.
And also in that game, you had Kyrie and LeBron each go for 41, so 82 points. And go look at that game, especially the fourth quarter. Curry's like MIA.
Speaking of which, unless there was like a longer segment, but no. Is there a single player that has benefited from a single game more than Kyrie Irving has from that Game 5 performance, or a single shots like that between because
shot?
Probably not.
Well, the single shot, but also that performance, because like Kyrie Irving
I think that series.
Really. That series. Kyrie is phenomenal. Like top 20 point guard all time. If he's not on most people's list, he's top 20 point guard all time. If that doesn't happen, he is not. I don't even know. I don't even know like how many people.
I don't think we don't talk about how skillful he is.
We do not.
Francis, if that doesn't happen, like he's one of those guys that was like ultra talented, but we forget. Like that one moment like put him into conversations that we all know he doesn't belong in, but he's in those conversations because of that moment.
I think
Gilbert Arenas. Like I'm telling you, that's who he is. He's Gilbert Arenas.
It's this roundabout like chicken and egg thing, because he goes for the 41. The next game, people don't forget, LeBron stunk in the fourth quarter, and he goes for like 12 or 13 and carries the team to the win. And then obviously in the Game 7, he hits the shot. And so people took, you're right, those moments and his skill, and they were like, wow, he's the most skilled player in NBA history. And I always ask them this: does that mean he's great? And they'll go, what do you mean? I said, well, do you have him top 10? No. Do you have him top 10 point guard? No. So what does all that skill mean? Nothing.
Some people some people do though. Like some people, obviously there was I feel like the conversation was blown out of proportion, but like some people, like there were a handful of people saying like Chris Paul is better, but I'd rather have Kyrie as that better complementary piece. Which, in some ways, that's true, but still, no, I'd rather have prime Chris Paul on the 2016 team than Kyrie. Like at the
really? I disagree for this one reason.
Okay.
Kyrie shows up in the playoffs. Chris Paul does not.
Kyrie doesn't show up in the playoffs though, outside of here and
there. He did. Sorry, let me rephrase. Kyrie did show up in the playoffs. Chris Paul never has.
Chris Paul has never played next to LeBron.
The mythology of Kyrie is getting absurd. Kyrie's career without LeBron is literally
is Gilbert Arenas.
Again, right. He might not even be Gilbert Arenas.
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
Maybe not. Yeah, honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
You have to understand that we're Celtics fans, so we saw Kyrie shoot more shots than he made in an entire playoff series and drive us into the ground versus the Bucks. So we are a little biased.
So that's another one with Kyrie though, because as much as he's benefited from one series, he also has been hurt from one series. Because that's literally the only time we've ever seen Kyrie have to be the first option outside of, again, a small moment outside of when Luka fouled out. Kyrie.
I don't think even Chris Paul. I don't think they're number one options on championship teams. I don't think so. I don't think that's a hot take. They have to be complementary guys. Yeah. But you're right. I think to your point, that series, I think everybody hangs their hat on that series for Kyrie. And if it wasn't for that series, you said that game, but I think it's that maybe the last 3 games of that series.
Last 3 games for sure.
Yeah, last 3 games of that series. We are having completely different conversations.
Yeah, because he stunk for those first couple of games as well. Yeah. In the series.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I'm not. I know that Chris is better at the all-time rankings than I am, but CP3 and Kyrie Irving shouldn't be near each other in any sort of rankings.
I don't think they are.
I think TikTok would disagree.
So
TikTok says a lot of things. Can't take
some of them, but
TikTok keeps telling me I gotta download the Tester app and get paid to play games, and it's a lie.
Yeah,
it's a lie.
I love it.
Sorry, Chris, I cut you off. Chris, keep
no, you're good. Yeah, but I've seen listed with Kyrie Kyrie and Rondo is the other one actually. Yes, and funny thing is, I don't think it's Celtics Twitter hyping them up because Kyrie isn't necessarily beloved by Celtics Twitter for sure, and neither is Rondo to be honest with you. But I don't even.
I would take Rondo over Kyrie and Chris Paul for that matter.
Oh,
on a team. I'm not ranking him higher. I'm not ranking him higher. I'm saying if I were building a team, so they're not my first, second options, right? If I'm building a team, I'd rather have prime Rondo as my guy over those two guys.
And your team would probably lose, but it's okay. It's
really?
wait. With Chris Paul, yeah, I got big love for prime Rondo. Like prime Rondo, Boston, he was 100% doing his thing, but his complete lack of reliable
shot creation.
Yeah. I mean, shot creation, I think he was solid at, but it's just
creating his own shot, not really.
Shooting. Yeah. I think Rondo, you have to build a team around him.
That's what I said. If I'm building a team and I said he's not the first.
It's not like we haven't seen Chris Paul play with great teams. He has played with great teams. He was the alpha male leader on the 2021 Suns team. He won 65 games with the Rockets, and then he got hurt.
I'm sorry.
Getting
hurt, and especially in the playoffs, which he always gets hurt in the playoffs. I don't want him.
But if I could give you prime Rondo or 08 Chris Paul, you're telling me you're taking prime Rondo?
Again, if I'm building the team, neither one of them is my first or second option. And then yes, because I want a guy. I want that role guy. That's what I want. Yes. Listen, when you're building a team, like literally building a team, a lot of people just say, "Oh, you take the best player." No, that never works.
No,
that never works. You take who's the best fit. So again, if I know how I would build the team, Rondo would suit the team that I'm building in my head more than a Chris Paul, because I don't want, to your point, that alpha 08 Chris Paul who's going to be, ball dominant and do these things. And probably is a better distributor, is a better ball handler, better defender, sure, blah, blah, all that stuff. But that he's
Chris Paul,
and then he's going to get hurt in the playoffs for me. No, don't want it.
Chris Paul in 2010 instead of Rondo beat the Lakers in the finals, by the way.
I mean, that game 7, Rondo is a Game 7 win away from a Finals MVP. I think he wins. He's the Finals MVP of that Boston team if they win that series. Again, that Game 7 was just a defensive against both teams. Both teams breaking shots, not making a ton of shots. Really a battle. A couple shots go here and there. I think Boston wins that game.
I feel like,
and then Rondo wins the Finals MVP. And the Finals MVP
There's two players that I know for a fact that I am significantly lower on than everybody else that talks basketball, and it's Chris Paul and KD. I know I'm lower on, significantly lower on those two guys than everybody I talk to, and I've accepted that. That's just you're not going to change my mind. I may not change yours, but I'm lower on those guys and forever will be.
Well, I not to go back on what Jalen said just there for a second, but about the whole Lakers 2010 yada yada. I need to connect back to our what if situation.
Yes, let's get back to that.
Because what if Kendrick Perkins, as crazy as this is going to sound, what if Kendrick Perkins does not get hurt in that Game 7 and plays? I'm telling you, it's not a Celtics propaganda fest to say that the Celtics could have won that game very easily in that situation if Perkins was there. And shout out Kendrick Perkins. If he sees this anywhere, he's going to be like, yes, I was the most important factor. But in actuality, him missing that game was a huge deal. That could have been another title for the Celtics very easily.
Hey, to add to that, what if? Yeah. If Kevin Garnett doesn't hurt his knee the year before,
that's the big
they can win a championship that year, and they stay healthy that third year. That's a three-peat. So we're talking the Celtics three-peat was for a couple injuries.
Two injuries away from a three-peat.
Exactly. And look, and I think if Kevin Garnett didn't get hurt that second year, they win for sure. that game 7 was so close. Every little, margin helps Kendrick. So it definitely, to me, still a coin flip. Like if he plays, I think that game goes 50-50. Like I think both teams were so kind of evenly matched.
Well, Pau Gasol dominated that game. Pau Gasol was the best player in that game. And Kendrick Perkins was his main assignment. Pau Gasol dominated. Like we know Kobe went 6 for 24. We all know that. Pau Gasol was bona fide the best player and a rebounding machine in that game. And Kobe Bryant even got 15 boards.
Yeah, the rebounds with Kendrick. No, I hear you.
What if, since you're talking about I don't even care about the what if CP3 trade goes through to the Lakers and it's
that's a what if too with Chris Paul.
No, because the bigger what if, honestly, it was the other move, which was instead of going to Boston, I don't know if you guys know, KG was going to the Lakers to play with Kobe. That's the bigger what if. No disrespect to CP3, but maybe a little. But no, since we're talking about what if on the injuries in the finals, you guys may or may not remember, if Karl Malone does not get hurt, even though he was 40, the Lakers win that championship and get him a title. And it would have been Gary Payton's first at that point, because eventually he gets one in Miami. But if they get Gary Payton and Karl Malone a championship, and we know that series was because he got hurt that they didn't. Does Karl Malone's legacy, forget the Lakers and Shaq and Kobe winning 4 together, does Karl Malone's legacy change with the ring? Even though he was 40, he was still a significant part.
I would tell you his legacy might have changed a lot more if he had considered putting a ring on like maybe a 13 situation. Ow! Oh, oops! I'm so sorry. I mean, but
put a ring is crazy.
Yeah, no. I definitely think that would have changed his scenario because a lot of people view him as just obviously a perennial loser. So any sort of ring, I think, really changes that dynamic.
Do you think Chris doesn't think old man rings count?
Not really, honestly.
Really?
But it was an old man ring in which he contributed because he was a factor. So does anyone I don't know.
Does anyone really care about Jason Kidd's ring in 2011?
Yeah, like if you don't, for a player,
I don't think
for a player of Karl Malone's caliber, it's winning a ring as a first option or nothing, or nothing in the sense.
Exactly, yeah.
Even even a number 2 or 3, like we get his greatness. To me, it doesn't add to his greatness because.
So you don't believe that Jason Kidd going to 2 finals back-to-back season, leading a great team. Nobody talks about how great he was because of that.
All of those
intelligent basketball people bring that
up.
Hold
on, nobody talks about that, but I always hear about how a veteran Jason Kidd was able to help the Dallas Mavericks go on this epic run and win a title against Wade Bosch and
I haven't heard that, honestly.
Really? I hear it all the time.
So are you guys who's better, Steve Nash or Jason Kidd? I think there's a clear-cut answer, but I know some people disagree.
Oh, I think that's close. I don't think that's
Jason Kidd.
Not clear-cut.
What?
That's a close one.
Well, I disagree. I 100% actually. I think it's Steve Nash.
I'd have to check my list, to be honest. I was just being a contrarian. Let me check my list.
Jason Kidd obviously he led his team to 2 finals and everything, but I also just think that Steve Nash was the anchors on defense, but like the main offensive engine on some of the best offenses of all time. And his defense wasn't as great, but he's a point guard, so like it's not like his defense was holding him back, holding his team back from winning anything. Like, I think Steve Nash's biggest thing was like in his prime, he just had to go up against either the Lakers or the Spurs every year.
Oh, okay. So you said Steve Nash high.
Well, hold on. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood. Okay.
Yeah, no.
You're comparing. You're asking who's the better point guard or who's the better player?
Player.
Because Jason Kidd does more things better than Steve Nash.
Yeah, but Asen Kidd.
Ben Simmons does more things better than Steph Curry.
Yeah. Asen Kidd could
not as a consistent leader at an all NBA level player as a number 1.
Yeah, but
right. Like there's a lot of caveats that go to that.
Yeah. What were you saying? Asen Kidd? Like
I just said like Asen kid, like the guy couldn't hit the broadside of a barn for the like greatest extent of his career.
You're calling him Asen kid because he has no J. Is that what you're doing?
He has no J, exactly. Yes.
I mean, I get it. Like the jump shot wasn't there, but I mean, again, guys like Rondo, the jump shot wasn't there either. You can still hear his greatness. But if he won, like we just talked about the rings, he won with Dallas. But if he won a ring or both those rings with New Jersey.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
We'd be talking about Jason Kidd as having the highest peak ever for a point guard because there's never been a point guard in NBA history.
Up there.
But you have to understand that would include a win against the Lakers and the Spurs.
Crazy. That would have been crazy.
That would have been crazy. Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
I can't find.
But instead, he had Todd McCullough and was over.
I feel like I might have Nash ranked higher than Jason Kidd, but as you say it, and I'm thinking about it. Like
I don't think that. Like I think the mistake that
Nash is the better shooter.
Tremendously.
Okay. Other than that, doesn't Jason Kidd do everything better than Steve Nash?
I think that Nash is a better passer. And
I think passing is right there.
It's close.
It's close. I'd probably give the edge to Nash, but I
also just think that Steve Nash has the better ability to dissect an offense better.
And IQ, like IQ's tough to nail, but like a 50-40 guy versus like a guy that shoots 38% from the field.
Jason's IQ.
Ori, you've said shooting in 4 different ways though.
Yeah, because it's all.
Whereas I think Kidd's a better passer. You think Nash is a better passer. That's fine, but I think Kidd's a better passer. He's by far a better rebounder, better defender. Like, and he was able to. Now you're going to fight about competition, but he was able to lead a team of lesser players to 2 NBA finals, and that Steve Nash couldn't do with a better roster.
Well, it's comparable roster because Kenny Martin and Richard Jefferson were no slouches.
They were, but
compared to Boris Diaw and Amari Stoudemire, like
Amari Stoudemire is by far the best player.
Second fiddle. Amari's the best second fiddle by far.
They also
after that.
No wait, but Sean Marion is better. Sean Marion at his peak is better than Kenyon Martin and Richard Jefferson.
Thank you.
And I think with Steve Nash, you could say
Sean Marion is better than Richard Jefferson.
He is. Shout out Sean Marion.
And Steve Nash too. If that bench ball and Amari Stoudemire is better than Kenyon Martin.
If that brawl did or not brawl, like if that situation didn't happen where the guys come off the bench, they get suspended for that game.
If Robert Horry doesn't shove,
that's a
what if. If Robert Horry doesn't shove Steve Nash into the next week, then the Suns have a finals.
Yeah, but anyway, So this is a discussion, by the way. Steve Nash, because the initial point. So Steve Nash versus Jason Kidd, like no one ever brings up the fact that Jason Kidd has a ring because it wasn't that important. It was later in his career. He wasn't in his prime.
Yeah. True enough. It is true.
Yeah.
After
I don't succumb to ring culture, so that's why I don't bring it up.
I just think when we're talking about players in the top, if we're talking about players in the top 10 discussion of their positions, a ring as a number 1 option, just carries a lot more weight than a ring as number 2.
Well, but hold on. You said that no one brought up the ring, so a ring at the later years don't matter. You know what else no one brought up?
What?
MVP. So I guess that doesn't matter either.
True enough.
I've always said it up.
For what? Like what's the correlation?
Nash has 2 MVPs. No one brought it up, right?
No.
Doesn't matter.
No. Yeah. I mean.
To me, if you watch the guy's entire career for most of it, to me, like
it highlights the fact that he was one of the 5 best players in the league during that time. Like,
it'll come up when we talk about peak and his peak seasons. He won an MVP.
Season,
that's when it'll come up. But
Steve Nash he's just known as the guy that won MVP over Shaq, even though Shaq never deserved a year that wasn't even a competitor for the year that he won MVP.
He won the MVPs over Kobe. I mean, let's be honest, right?
And wait, a lot of people say he didn't deserve it over Kobe. So
no. Like, that may be debatable, but the fact that he got him.
Well,
I mean, he got it. He wasn't better than Kobe without a doubt.
It's not debatable. He wasn't a better player than the 3 or 4 guys that he beat out for the awards, right? It's a media voted award, and Kobe, I believe, what year was Colorado?
It was a couple years before.
Was it 06 or was it 05?
It was like a year or 2 years before Colorado.
Right, so
05, wasn't it?
So maybe before then. I don't know.
What was that?
That's still, to give that person an MVP still looks bad.
Well, like winning was also extremely important back then too.
Then we're pretending like Nash didn't deserve it either.
Yeah, Nash took like a 20 win team, 30 win team to 50 wins. I mean, he was a big part of that. Like he really elevated. Right. We're talking about a guy elevated.
Nash still was quite the unique offensive engine.
He was. It was a perfect storm. D'Antoni, the way the players around him could play, and then Nash in that system.
But that's what I struggle with Nash. So when you say who's a better player, and I say, well, other than shooting, it's Jason Kidd, but also because Nash and to a greater extent James Harden, you can fight about what they would have done in different situations, but Nash really only had his success when he was playing in this super high tempo with Amari Stoudemire, where he got a lot of stats. Again, he's fortunate he played.
He was good in Dallas though too. His Dallas years are underwhelming.
I'm not saying. Listen, I'm not saying he's not good. I'm not even saying he's not great. I'm just saying it was a perfect storm where he was put in this offense where, he was able, like statistically, able to excel. That doesn't make him a bad player, but if he was in any other team, he's not winning nothing.
And that could be argued, I think. But at the same juncture, I feel like it could also be argued that if he was with any other team, he is the engine that would drive their floor. So I don't know.
He was still running off, it's just not the way he did it under D'Antoni. Some people would see him different. I get that argument, but again, I just think he was too skilled of a shooter and passer to not showcase that ability on other teams too, right? Same with James Harden. Yeah, would James Harden put up kind of those those all-time numbers of individual scoring or isolation play scoring in another offense? Maybe not, right? With the spacing he had and how the system worked, ball in his hands. If he played for Popovich, he's not going to do that. But would he still be able to showcase his greatness? Without a doubt, just in a little different way. James Harden might have been Manu Ginobili if he played on the Spurs. We could have won some rings. But the way people talk about Manu too, I guess that's a what if. What if Manu was able to showcase his skill set as a number one guy on a team?
Right. What if Manu gets to start? Yeah.
And to me, I always said I hold Manu such high regard, not for the, I've seen what he did in the NBA, all that, but to beat Team USA in the Olympics, to lead Argentina to a gold, and the way he played in the Olympics, incredible. There's very few players.
Listen, I'm not saying he wouldn't have been great anywhere else. All I'm saying is, if you take the 7 years that he didn't play in Phoenix, he's a 9-5 guy. He's not getting any love, regardless of how good he is. When you're a 9-5, that's 9 points and 5 assists a game. That's who he was for the 7 years that he didn't play for Phoenix. That's all I'm saying.
We're including the bad back season in late.
Yeah, 100%. But that's all I'm saying is
I hear you.
They benefit from. I still think he does better. I'm just saying.
I hear you.
Jason Kidd wasn't given the same situation and still was able to do as much as him without being in that situation. And again, if I'm building a team, I'm probably taking Jason Kidd over Steve Nash.
I'm not mad at that. I think they're really close. Like I might edge it to Nash, but I'm not mad at it.
I don't hate it because I have him close in my mind as well. So I'm not like, but something about the transcendent offense, I suppose, is something I always lean towards. So.
All right. Any other what ifs before we go to what if I went to sleep right now?
If we want to expand on players that flew and if we want to explain on players that flew and hates, we can talk about what if Chris Paul never got hurt. How different would both Chris Paul and James Harden's legacies look?
I don't hate any player. I just don't rank them as high as the majority of people who don't know basketball.
All right. So speaking of fluid favorite players, what if Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook didn't blow a 3-1 lead in the Western Conference Finals against the Warriors?
Then KD would have not had the moniker of not being a leader.
He would have your respect, you mean?
He would absolutely. If he didn't blow a 3-1 lead and then jump ship to the team that he blew the 3-1 lead to, yes, he would have my respect.
That's where
I'm sorry. Just imagine. After the 2016 finals, Steph Curry goes, I'm out. And he joins LeBron in Cleveland. No one's going to be like, oh, yeah, that was smart for Steph. They're going to be like, what a punk.
He could have joined other teams that would have been, I think more acceptable.
He literally could have joined any other team, and there wouldn't have been like the gripe against.
Like if he joined the Spurs, I'd be like, okay.
He should have joined the Celtics.
He should have. You know what?
He should have gone to Charlotte. You know what? Or Toronto. The guy. Think about it. Okay, he was. Well, no, hold on. Maybe he does go to Cleveland because he could say, "Well, I'm going back home. I was born in Akron."
Yeah. Steph. I thought we were on the topic of KD still. Okay, yeah.
So KD. Yeah, KD should have stayed in OKC.
He should have.
KD. The only thing worse than KD leaving OKC to go to Golden State was him leaving Golden State.
Yeah.
That was the only thing worse because if he would have, as the kids say, stayed 10 toes down and said, I made this decision, I'm here, and that's it. Instead, he listened to everybody. That's his problem. Honestly, that's my biggest issue with him is that he has, whether this is true or not, he comes across as having a very soft mentality. And what I mean by that is he made this move because it was easier for him to win a chip. And that's fine. I'm okay. Go chase your chips. You're a free agent. Go do whatever the hell you want. But then because of everybody chirping and saying, oh, yeah, he did that, he wanted to go out and prove that he could do it on his own. And that's the only reason he leaves. If he would have just said, hey, I made my decision. This is where I am. Not only does that team win more championships and he wins more. Like if he stays, that team wins 4 or 5. And he's probably the MVP of all 4, of all 5, if not at least 4. That is a 4-time champ with 4 MVPs. No one's questioning his move anymore. I think him going, winning a couple, then getting hurt, leaving, and then the disaster that followed after that, I think that's where I think a lot of the criticism comes in. Because just think about it. Everybody hated LeBron for leaving Cleveland, right?
Yes.
The way he left with the decision, everything going to Miami. But then he goes to 4 straight finals, wins 2, goes back to his hometown, goes to 4 straight finals again. And now everyone's like, okay, it wasn't that. Okay, I get why he left. Everybody, even me. And I'm like, he should have stayed in Cleveland. We should talk about that what if in a minute. Even me, I'm like, I get why he left. He never would have won in Cleveland. Like, never. And you have to win. So I get why he left. And in fact, he did them a huge favor by, instead of just leaving as a free agent, he made, he okayed, I guess. They did a sign and trade. And Cleveland got some picks and, some stuff out of it. So it ended up working out for everybody. But had he left and then just imagine he leaves Cleveland, wins a couple, and then says, I can show you I can win without D Wade, and goes to Charlotte and doesn't do anything, and then goes, okay, screw this, and then goes to Phoenix and doesn't win anything, and then now as he's an old man, he goes to Houston to try and jump on that team's success. Who's giving him credit? No one's getting. No, I think he stays the villain.
So this actually leads to another what if story with KG is what if he decided not to play Game 5 against the Raptors in 2019? The Raptors win. So Raptors win Game 5. Klay Thompson never tears his ACL.
I see what you're saying.
Yep. So
because that happened in game. Okay, yeah.
The series is over. KD never ruptures. I don't even know what it was. Tears his Achilles.
Yeah. Then they all come back healthy the next year.
Yeah,
there was talk as to like I don't know how much this changes, but like I don't, and I don't believe all these things, but I know that Rick Bucher said that had KD not torn his Achilles, that he and Kyrie would have went to the Knicks instead of the Nets.
Really?
Yeah. So,
but hold on, that next year. Oh, that he was after the Toronto series. He was a free agent. I thought it was the year after. Okay.
No, it was the Toronto. Yeah, so he was a free agent. And the Knicks had the 3rd pick, I want to say. So, no, it wouldn't have worked out. But yes, I was also thinking about the maybe the Knicks push order for AD, but no, they wouldn't have been able to put together as good a package as the Lakers did. But
what if the Lakers don't make that package, and they keep Ingram and Kuzma and Caruso and LeBron and Randall? Lakers are a dynasty.
A lot can be said about the Lakers, but all in all, despite the fact that they trade them all away, they made quite a few decent draft picks.
They did.
I mean, I would say like the Lonzo Balls, the Brandon Ingrams,
I think those were all horrible picks.
Julius Randle. I think those guys.
Oh, I thought you meant after that trade.
Oh no! I was talking about all those draft picks in general. Those young guys that they got rid of. I think that they all showed potential, and I obviously they got the 2020 title. It was all worth it.
No. As a Celtics fan, you should know better. One champion. We don't play for one ring.
Yeah, I think the Lakers
again. Well, no, again, as a Celtics fan, as a Celtics fan,
we've been living off the coattails for the 08 ring.
Yeah, as a Celtics fan, you haven't lived through dynasties as a Celtics fan, right? Like it was before you were born, so you are happy winning one. You're right. As a Laker fan, if you think about it, especially Jay tells me this, Showtime tells me this all the time that I'm spoiled, right? Because I became a Laker fan in '79, and Magic went to 9 NBA finals over the next 11 years. And then we had our lull, right? And then Shaq and Kobe go to win 3, I think, out of 4. And then we have a couple year lull. And then Kobe and Gasol, I think, go to win 2 out of 3. And then we have a lull again, as we always do. Then LeBron comes in like year 2, we win another one. So it's just like, but we look at it and say, oh,
you traded for Luka freaking Doncic after that.
But the Lakers don't get enough flack. To me, that Anthony Davis trade, thinking about it, is still one of the stupidest shit in NBA history. Because all you had to do was just wait a year. You wait a year. He's coming over for free. You keep Josh Hart. You keep Lon. You keep Ingram. You keep 1 year. You're telling
me a lot can happen in a year, though.
I'm saying 1 year with the young team that still develops with LeBron there. LeBron should have spoken. That's the thing. LeBron should have spoken up and say, no, let's keep these young guys.
But he's the one who spoke up and said you need to do it now.
I know. Guess what? Maybe LeBron didn't know he had this many years in him.
Because I'll tell you this.
I think he would have regretted it. I think LeBron probably regrets telling them.
I'll tell you this.
That right there.
I think that both LeBron and this player that I'm about to name would have had better careers if they played together. I think the Cavs would have been better if they kept Andrew Wiggins instead of Kevin Love.
I'm with you there too, because again,
do you think they would have won in 2016
though? Would they have won in 2016? Depends who else they put around him, because they needed, right? As with everything. But I think Kyrie, Wiggins, and LeBron as your 1, 2, 3. And you got to find your bigs. I think Wiggins' personality, from the little that I know through people who know him, because he works out where we train in the summers, is that he's a typical Canadian in the sense that he has a level head, right? And you can have these discussions, and I think he could be like the conduit between Kyrie and LeBron. And so LeBron teaches him like the work ethic, because I'll give LeBron the utmost credit. And I tell everyone this. I think a lot of what you've seen in Luka this offseason is influenced by LeBron. And I think the one thing I wish Andrew Wiggins would have had was harder workouts throughout the offseasons. And I think that LeBron factor would have given him that, but also the personality, because that's why Kyrie and LeBron kind of butted heads, right? They needed that person in the middle. I think that would have been a better trio, and then you build the bigs around for the long term. Now, do they win in 2016? Depends again who they put around them, but I think that's a better fit. And that I think has always been the one thing I struggled with LeBron, is there's always like this like rotation of players to try and put people around him, when I'm like, no, he actually would have been better with younger players and developing, even in Cleveland the first stint, right? Bringing in Ben Wallace and Shaq and, all these old guys. I'm like, no, it's the wrong.
You know what the problem with first stint, though, is that he got him too good where they couldn't draft a solid young player. Like, he was too good too soon, where they couldn't just rack up, 3 straight years of top 5 picks. That's right. If that was a situation, I think that could have helped. I think he was too good too soon, where they had to pick in the mids.
Well, they had some bad luck the first few years, like when the first couple of years when they didn't make the playoffs, like they didn't, they could have had, but they also traded away some of those picks too, if you go back and look. So there was some mismanagement there. But they had a young Danny Green, who's a perfect player to complement LeBron, right? Because LeBron needs 3 guys that are, basically 3 out with him and maybe one kind of, mobile big, right? So, and Danny Green's that perfect complementary, 3-and-D guy. That's what he needs around him, right? Mm-hmm. Shoot consistently from the 3, give him spacing so that he can do what he does, and you're good. So, but they had him like as a rookie and got rid of it. So it's those types of things that keep those guys around. And, Daniel Marshall was a 40% 3-point shooter when I believe the year they went to the NBA final.
He got old, didn't he? Yeah, I don't know if he got old.
No, he had probably his best season a couple years later when he went to the Raptors.
Oh, was it LeBron before? Oh, I'm sure. Oh, yeah, I think he was. He was with the Raptors after. Yeah, I had him before in my head. No, that makes sense.
So there's guys like that. It's just that's why. So that's why my last what if is: does LeBron even win 1 ring? What if he stays in Cleveland and never leaves?
If somebody has to come to Cleveland, somebody's coming.
If he does that, is he basically Damian Lillard and just like a sucker for his own loyalty?
That's what I'm afraid of, because if you think about it, when people say they got him no help in Cleveland, they were always top 3 in salary. They were always now, again, older veteran guys and whatever, but they were paying them a ton of money. So I think they weren't, like Gilbert Arenas once said, why he left to Miami? It's because he said he wasn't gonna, he was in Cleveland, and Dan Gilbert said he wasn't gonna pay anybody. I'm like, dude, you have no idea what you're talking about, because not only did they pay people, the Cavs' payroll was higher than Miami's.
Gilbert was a generous owner. Yeah, he spent money.
You have no idea what you're talking about. But was it the right guys? That's a different conversation. So I put it out to you. What if he stayed in Cleveland his whole career? Does he win any?
I mean, somebody comes to Cleveland. He's calling somebody. Yes. I think Cleveland was a spot where people wanted to go because of LeBron. Somebody would have
No. He said I tried to recruit and no one would come to Cleveland.
Oh, that's true.
Because Cleveland also had Dan Gilbert, and people don't like Dan Gilbert.
No, that's true. There's players who didn't want to come because of Cleveland, but I think there's guys who, again, because LeBron's there, would have made a change. But a lot of them would have been older guys too. I don't think any young guys would have definitely went to Cleveland. They would have been the older thing. That would have been a problem. I think eventually the world would have been screaming, LeBron, leave. At some points, it's like you just feel for that.
No. If he doesn't leave,
if it just doesn't,
think about this. When he leaves, he takes the best player from Cleveland, which is him, the best player from Toronto. Now, Cleveland was obviously best team in the East. Toronto was a borderline playoff team, but he takes those 2 teams and he makes those 2 teams now lottery teams. So he's literally eliminated 2 teams from the discussion, and he goes to Miami. So you want to talk about like watered down expansion? That's the equivalent of what he just did. He made 2 expansion teams, and he creates this juggernaut. If he stays in Cleveland and now he doesn't have 2 other all-stars, and he has to go up against the likes of Boston and other emerging teams, what does his road? When does his window open in Cleveland to make that run?
I still feel like his window is open because, I understand like the whole notion is it seemed like there was no hope in the end, but they were just because I get it, like they lost in the second round, but at the end of the day they won 66 games. That has to mean
they won 66, and then 61. The year before he left, they won 61.
That's right. It was only 61, right? Yeah. So that
has to mean, just for the record, of that team that won 61 games, only 4 of the players who remained played more than 40 games, and that was 35-year-old Antoine Jameson, 34-year-old Antoine Jameson, 35-year-old Anthony Parker, 23-year-old Daniel Gibson, and 22-year-old JJ Hickson. So their team is gutted, that 61 win team. So even if they keep LeBron, again, to Jalen's point, they have no draft pick because they were the number 1 seed in the East. So their draft pick is trash. They have no money. Where does that window open?
I don't know. But yeah, I just feel like eventually
the window's always open.
Yes. Yeah. With LeBron, I feel like especially in the East, the Celtics made the finals that year, but they were aging at the end of the day. I don't even know who would have been I guess it would have been would it have been the Magic or was
I was say who else?
The Magic.
The Hawks. I think were the Hawks decent then?
No, they were fine. But like in like 2010, like I know the Celtics were the 4th seed. Who did they beat?
The
Bulls. The Bulls were the Bulls, but like Rose was injured, so I feel like I'm missing something else.
The Hawks. Wait, the Hawks were 53 and 29 that year. 2010 East standings.
Oh, were they? Okay. That makes more sense now. Yes, yeah, maybe the Hawks. Like, it would have been wide open. It would have been wide open. Like, I'm sure. Like, once Dan Gilbert knew that LeBron was leaving, like he knew, like, okay, no, I'm not going to invest more money into this team. Like, if LeBron's still there, they're like, okay, maybe I had a chance, and I'll invest some resources into it. Like, yeah, like
traded for somebody. They would have made a move.
Yeah, like they gave up once LeBron left. So that's the thing.
Sure.
Yeah, no, I understand they gave up, but that's again that goes to my point. Who like is Cleveland good enough, to be better than Boston, Chicago, heck, even Miami with Dwayne Wade or Orlando? Right. Are they better than them in 2010, 2011?
Close.
When they go to the finals and lose to Dallas, do you think could he lead a worse team than the team he had the last 2 years that the number 1 seed in the NBA?
I think Amari Stoudemire might went to Cleveland. It would have been LeBron and Amari. Would have been pretty cool for a couple of years, but Amari did get hurt. I don't know how that works then. Yeah, I just think they would have got another piece. I hear what you're saying though. There's a world where they just don't build a championship caliber team. It never happens. And then you have I still think he's like the NBA's all-time leading scorer. He still has his,
Okay, so he has all those
10 and 10. He has all these stats, and everyone just kind of feels bad for him because he chose to be loyal to a girlfriend who was cheating on him.
So he's Dame Lillard.
He's always been better than Dame Lillard. Don't do that. Dame Lillard is not 40,000.
No.
Dame Lillard's not 10,000 assists.
We get it. You love him. We get it.
It's more.
I'm not putting down. I know it's more than love. I'm not putting down him as a player. What I'm saying is Damian Lillard, in the sense that he stays on a team to a fault,
right? Where
they're not like Damian Lillard peaked when they made the Western Conference Final, and everybody knew it was downhill after that. So if LeBron peaks at that 66-61 win season, but he's already made a final by fluke in 2007, and then the team gets worse because they're so old. My question is, the team gets worse because all the players they brought in were old, and now they have to replace them without draft picks. They have to sign other guys. They're not going to get young superstars, right? They're going to get other aging players who most of them don't want to go there. So what I'm saying is you're constantly being piecework like they were those 2 seasons. Like, does it have to get worse before it gets better? Like, does he have to have a bad season where they don't make the playoffs?
See, I think that doesn't happen with LeBron in the East too. At that time, they'll get somebody. I think the more player comp in another sport would be Barry Sanders. He'd be Barry Sanders. The way people look at Barry Sanders, he's still, he has to go kind of running back. I think he'd be that. Once you get baseball reference, Mike Trout type of deal.
So my what if is, if he stays in Cleveland, does he win any chips?
There's so many other variables. That's the thing. I think he's
eventually. Yes, I think so.
Eventually.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure. Considering he's 4-6 anyway, with all things bouncing right, I think it could be argued that he'd have a much difficult time in staying in Cleveland. Like, he might not have gotten one.
Because if you think about it, the way he had to win was, like I said, take the 2 best players from 2 other teams and have them together, right? And it's still a shortened season for him to beat OKC, who's 22, 23 years old. Okay, they beat an aging Spurs team. And then the third one, right, he would never have Kyrie and Love in Cleveland. Like, he would never have I guarantee you would never have guys that caliber of Kyrie and Love. And then the other one is the bubble ring in LA, which, again, I'm saying if he doesn't go, I think he maxes out at 1. He might make the finals. I think he might make the finals 2 or 3 times, but because, to Chris's point, because it's the East and there's opportunities in the East, I don't think they feel the team good enough to beat anybody in the West more than one time. This is not an indictment on LeBron. This is an indictment on the Cavaliers. So we're clear.
I hear you. It's kind of the thing. It's like if Kobe stayed with Charlotte, he might have never won a ring because it's Charlotte.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Yeah, like I get it.
No, there's another what if right there. Absolutely.
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, you know what? If Kobe was Charlotte, he'd be the NBA's all-time leading scorer. At this point, I think LeBron would have been close. He would have been chucking for days. No winning, but he would have broke Kareem's record. I don't know if he stayed in Charlotte for 20 years.
Well, yeah, because he would have started right away. Right. Whereas in LA,
he could have been a 28-point scorer like Jordan was his rookie season if he was starting.
He might. No, in Charlotte he would have had a chance to, but in LA with Eddie Jones and the team that they had, there's no chance he was going to be starting.
Exactly.
All right. What if I hit end stream right now?
Hey, going to sleep.
Does anybody have anything to say before I do that? Chris, what's going on All American?
We've had a good couple weeks. Last week we had Chris Clemmer on from Barstool. He's a Celtics Mets guy. How
did that go? Did you guys talk a lot of baseball again?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I'm so into baseball right now.
It's great. Yeah,
this could be the Jays year. This could really be the Jays year.
It could be. Yeah, Shane Bieber. That was great. Because we've been going every other. Yeah, next week it'll probably just be the three of us again. But it'll be. Yeah, we'll be doing our top 10 small forwards along with two other segments. I don't know what else yet, but
nice. I was literally sitting on the edge. I was sitting on the edge of my seat. The Jays were down 5-2 to the Rangers, and came back in the bottom of the eighth, and won 6-5. I think, and I don't think I've ever been so like into a baseball game since like the 92 season when they won the World Series, 91, 92, whatever, 93 when they won back-to-back World Series. It's been a while. So that's Thursday at 8. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
If you need a guest to give you some Larry Bird propaganda, let me know.
It's active small forwards, but yes, yeah. We'll
active. Oh, geez. Oh, no.
There's no. Is there any small forward? No, there's no shooting guards right now.
Right.
We did that 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it was pretty tough. Like going through.
Active. Booker, Mitchell.
So my personal, so it was Ants, D. Mitch, Book, and then fourth actually Donovan Thompson because it was projecting for next year.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Dirty politicians.
Yeah, but Pot's been a little busy, but he should go today, Wednesday or Thursday. One of those days. Yeah, Trump and Putin at a meeting. It'll be fun to
Hoop Social. Did you have your $10,000 prize yet?
Hoop Social. Yeah, not yet. But we're going to talk about getting the creator hour going again. I got 5 or 6 people that want to get
awesome
up and going. So I think we got to have some talks.
Ari, whenever you have a guest, I don't care if it's every week, once a month, if it's just randomly sporadic, you just pick a time. I'll put the creative back up and give you your login, and you do a creator hours show whenever the hell you want.
Hell yeah!
How's that?
Sounds like a plan. I got 5 people on the Rolodex. Okay, we're gonna have some fun.
I want your guys' opinion. So this, before I say end, I want your guys' opinion. You're gonna get a sneak peek of something, and I want you to tell me what you think.
Fluent and chill, yeah, we call it how it's played. From the field to the court, every legend gets played. 4-quarter heat or a 2-minute drill. If you can't handle truth, better chill with the skill. LeBron and MJ, we break that smoke.
What the closest thing to perfection will that make you?
Stats don't lie, we just let them spill. This is real talk sports, welcome to Fluent and chill. Fluent and chill, yeah, we call it how it's played. From the field to the court, every legend gets played.
Oh yeah, what do you think?
Little seasoning on that song. I like it.
You like that? You like that?
Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
Classy.
There might be some very big news coming, so I wanted to get other people's opinion other than my son, who said it's fire, daddy. But it was
hell yeah, that was nice. That was real nice.
That was.
It was good. Okay, as long as I got the green light.
Enjoyed, yeah.
So what if I hit end stream?
Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
Nah, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.